The Buffalo Bills lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars in London by a score of 25-20. That final score does not tell the story of this game, as this was a disaster from start to finish for the Bills. The major story coming out of this game is going to be the health of several key Bills players. I am Josh McCarty from Bills Chat. Let's get into all of it right now. Coming into this game, the Bills were already up against it from an injury standpoint. They were down Tre'Davious White. They were down Christian Benford. They were down Gregory Rousseau. And we got news yesterday that they were going to be without Shaq Lawson. And Von Miller was coming back, but we knew he was going to be on a pitch count. Well, on the first Jacksonville drive of the game, the Bills lose Daquan Jones and Matt Milano, both of which appear to be serious injuries. Matt Milano, for sure, he was carted off with a cast on his leg, and neither one of those players were able to return to the game. And at that point in time, the Bills were down 5 starters on defense. So the first thing we have to think about is, what does this defense look like without Matt Milano and Daquan Jones? Daquan Jones, the answer is a little bit simpler. Poona Ford, who's been inactive for the first 5 games of the season, will be active. I think he will be your primary nose tackle. And I think the Bills will be in okay shape there until Daquan can get back. But the Matt Milano injury is the much bigger story. How long is he going to be out? We saw rookie 3rd-round pick Dorian Williams come in early for Matt Milano, played well, made some plays, but along the way got benched for Tyrell Dodson. Not really sure why. I will just vent really quickly about this London series. I understand we're in London. I understand that the what we have technology-wise may not be available to us in London as we have in the United States, but I feel like we didn't see a replay all game long. I feel like every time there was a big flag on the Bills, we didn't see one single replay. And then when it comes down to some of these injuries, I feel like we didn't see replays on that until it was like 10 minutes after the fact. That's just me venting about that. As far as Matt Milano goes, that is a loss the Bills just are not going to be able to overcome easily. The one good thing is off-ball linebacker is generally not one of the premium positions. Hopefully it's not as bad as it looked, but for now, it's probably going to be a combination of Tyrell Dodson and rookie Dorian Williams getting the Bills through. Taron Johnson also left the game, but came back. That was a great sight because they brought the cart out for him, and Taron Johnson came back. But let's get past the injuries. The injuries are what they are. They were a very unfortunate byproduct of this game. It happens in the NFL. But guys, the story of this game to me is the Bills offense. And I understand the final score of this game was 25-20. But with 4 minutes to go in this game, the Bills offense had 7 points. 7 points in a game where the defense was down 5 and up to 6 starters at certain points in this game. The offense had all 11 of their opening day starters on the field, and they mustered 1 touchdown drive at the end of the second quarter. There were multiple opportunities in the second half, whether it was a Gabe Davis drop on 2nd down or Josh Allen getting the Bills out of their own end zone, throwing deep to Stephon Diggs, but Diggs has to come back for the ball. If Allen puts it out there, it's a touchdown. Or Josh Allen giving Diggs a chance one-on-one and him losing a one-on-one jump ball down the field. Again, Josh Allen needs to put better air under that ball. But the story of this game to me is the Bills offense. What I am not qualified to do is to sit here and tell you how much jet lag affected the Bills. We all understand this game was in London. The Bills flew over there on Thursday night, Friday morning. That was the strategy they used. And we all understand that the Buffalo Bills product we saw on the field today, particularly on offense, is nothing like the Bills that we have seen the last 3 weeks. So we can start connecting dots and think, oh, the jet lag was an issue in this game because the Jaguars looked fresh. They looked like they were the more explosive team. And honestly, the game shouldn't have even been as close as it was at halftime. The Jaguars just kept shooting themselves in the foot. But what I can't do is sit here and definitively tell you that it was a factor. You have to make that decision up on your own. What I can tell you is on a day where the defense is down 5 starters, an offense that has one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the sport, one of the highest paid wide receivers in the sport, one of the highest paid left tackles in the sport, a 1st-round pick at tight end, a wide receiver in Gabe Davis who is trying to get paid this offseason, a highly paid center, a 2nd-round guard, they have to do more than 7 points in 3 quarters and 11 minutes. That's unacceptable. And I don't know if it was the fact that the Bills just couldn't get anything going offensively early, that they started the game with 2 3 and outs. But The last 3 weeks, we've heard Dan Orlovsky and Chris Sims and others rave, Greg Cosell rave about the Bills' under center offense, the bind it is putting opposing defenses in. And to start this game off, the Bills were coming out shotgun run, shotgun pass, shotgun run, shotgun pass. And they didn't have their first under center play, by my calculation, until the third drive when Josh Allen throws the ball to Stephon Diggs to get out of the end zone. I was not charting this. I'm just telling you what it felt like watching it. But it felt like the Bills diverted away from their game plan that had been successful the last few weeks. I understand that's a low-hanging fruit argument because you're going to play different teams different ways, but these did not look like those Buffalo Bills. Penalties were all over the field today for the Bills. Every time they made a positive play, it was one step forward and two steps back. Let me see if I can find the penalties here. The Bills had 11 penalties for 109 yards. Now, the Jaguars had penalties on their own, 8 for 56. It was a sloppy game, and quite honestly, it sure felt like the refs were okay getting in the way. There were some bad penalties both ways. Josh Allen, the defensive player's sack of our Josh Allen that should have shut a drive down, was not roughing the passer. It was called roughing the passer. A very ticky-tack call on Jordan Poyer on a play that would have ended a Jaguars drive. I believe that was on Calvin Ridley or Christian Kirk. Little fuzzy right now. I felt like Jordan Poyer was just put in a bind because the ball got tipped and they called unnecessary roughness on him. That extended the drive. The drive ultimately did not end up mattering for the Jaguars. The referees felt like they were in the way all game long, but it is what it is. You can blame the refs. You can blame the injuries. You can blame the jet lag. You can do whatever you want to do. It is your right as a football fan, as a Bills fan, to figure out how you want to process what we just saw. What I can tell you is I live in a world of trying to dissect things by judging them on what I know, not what I think. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you there's a referee conspiracy theory against the Bills. That just does not make sense to me. It does not compute. I understand the frustration. I was frustrated with you, but that's not interesting conversation. What are you going to do about a situation where you feel like the refs are working against you? It's just talking yourself in circles before ultimately just being frustrated. I can tell you I'm frustrated by the injuries the Bills had today. It was a very unfortunate game that way. They got lucky with Taron Johnson. Hopefully Gregory Rousseau comes back. Hopefully Christian Benford comes back, because I think we all got a glimpse into why Kaiir Elam is fourth in that boundary cornerback pecking order today, as Calvin Ridley continuously took him to school. I don't know if the Bills have a cornerback on their roster that can stick with Calvin Ridley one-on-one, but I do know that Kaiir Elam is not that guy. I want to say something about this Bills defense. There was a third down in the fourth quarter where the Bills absolutely needed a stop, and their two rush ins were Kingsley Jonathan and Lawrence Vickers. Von Miller was already out of the game. His snap count had been exceeded. Gregory Rousseau didn't play. Shaq Lawson didn't play. AJ Epinesa was on the sideline getting oxygen. They were down to Vickers and Kingsley Jonathan. And this defense stood up all game long. I know the final result was they gave up 25 points. I get all of that. In the middle of the third quarter, the Bills had only given up 11 points. This was a great performance by the defense that was severely undermanned, a great called game by Sean McDermott. And if you're a Bills fan, like I am, like I'm assuming most of you are, we have to just hope that the Bills get their guys back sooner rather than later. It feels like it's going to be a while on Matt Milano. We're going to have to all brace for the news on that. Hopefully the Daquan Jones injury is not a long-term thing. The fact that he was ruled out in the first quarter, never a good sign. We shall see. And then obviously Greg Rousseau, Shaq Lawson, hopefully they can get back and fit in, because the Bills just ran out of bodies on the defensive line, and it showed on that last Travis Etienne touchdown run. The game ended with a hook and ladder play. Josh Allen throws it to Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs looks like he's going to find James Cook. Because there were no replays in this game, I can't even tell you if the play was drawn up well or not. I probably will go back and watch it. It looked like if he could have completed that pitch to Cook, Cook had a chance to go around and get out of bounds and get the Bills within Hail Mary's distance. But at that point in time, you're just hoping for a miracle. This game was lost because through the first 3.5 quarters, the Bills could muster nothing offensively, and the offense let the defense down. Josh Allen ended the day with, let's get this up here quickly. Josh Allen ended the day. Statistically, Josh Allen had himself a day, guys. 27 for 40, 359, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had 14 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown. The Bills, who had been running the ball well, got a grand total of 15 rushing yards out of their 3 running backs. Damian Harris led the way, 3 for 13. Latavius Murray, 2 for 6. James Cook, 5 for -4. Receiving wise, it was Stephon Diggs again, 8 for 121 and a touchdown. Gabe Davis, 6 for 100 and a touchdown. I think a lot of us are going to remember the second down play that Gabe Davis dropped that ultimately killed a drive where it felt like the Bills had finally gotten momentum back, but it wasn't meant to be. Deontay Hardy had a really big diving catch and also a long explosive play when the Bills were kind of in miracle mode at the end of the game. Deontay Hardy showed up well. Khalil Shakir, it felt like he got a lot of snaps today. I'm excited to see the snap counts. It did not feel like Dalton Kincaid got a lot of snaps in this game. Kincaid only 2 for 19, continues to be invisible in this offense when it comes to explosive plays. He left the game briefly with a head injury, was able to come back in. Stokes mentions Matt Milano is the surest tackler at the second level. Absolutely. They're going to miss Matt Milano in so many areas of this defense. But what I will tell all of you, we're all frustrated. This was a frustrating game to watch. This was an annoying game to watch. And as we lost Matt Milano and Daquan Jones, and for a brief moment, Taron Johnson, it felt like a nightmare. The good news is the nightmare is over. The other good news is it's just one game. The Bills are a 3-2 football team, and their next 3 opponents are opponents that they should handle. They play the Giants at home next week, then they go to New England to take on the Patriots, coming back home to take on the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football. So the Bills are 3-2. We'd much rather them be 4-1. That is not their reality. My reality is I hate London games, guys. I don't like the fact that the Bills are done playing at 1:30 Eastern time and the rest of the NFL gets to watch their teams play. And I feel like I just rushed through my morning sipping coffee watching the Bills. I don't like the fact that it feels like whenever I watch these London games, they are like an extreme version of a Thursday night game where you just don't know what you're going to get out of these teams because there's so many variables involved. Again, I don't know how to quantify the variables. In my simple brain, it doesn't seem fair that one team was over in London for 2 weeks, the other team was over in London for 2 days. But as Sean McDermott says, focus on the things you can control. This offense, it took way too long to wake up. By the time they got a couple of touchdown drives late, it was too little, too late. The dam on the defense had already been broken, and it was a frustrating scene all around for these Buffalo Bills. So the major story coming out of this game is, one, how long are they going to be without Matt Milano? And then a sub-story, how long are they going to be without Daquan Jones? 2, how did Von Miller come out of this game? Did he feel like himself? Are they going to be able to ramp him up? Because as they're losing bodies on defense, getting him ramped up will certainly be a positive. 3, when can Gregory Rousseau and Christian Benford come back? The fact that Gregory Rousseau was not put on short-term IR yesterday tells me they don't believe this to be a long-term deal. So hopefully he can come back in a couple weeks. The Bills have a little bit of a soft landing spot next week with a home game against the Giants before going to Foxborough the following week. So if you were going to be optimistic about it, if the Bills could pick any point in time to start missing some guys on defense, this would be the point in time. What you have to hope, and again, outside of my area of expertise, is that the Bills' choice to not take their bye week after the London game doesn't cost them twice, because they looked flat today in London, and you sure hope they can get their body clocks reset in time to play the Giants next week on Sunday Night Football. As far as what's next for Bills chat, Luca and I will be back tomorrow morning with a full post-game show uploaded bright and early Monday morning. We will go through the ins and outs of this game. We will hand out game ball winners. We will hand out game check awards. And obviously, we will try to spin it forward. Hopefully, by the time Luca and I are recording tonight, we'll have an update on Matt Milano and Daquan Jones. Sometimes, especially with them being over in London, it feels like it might be doubtful to get that kind of an update. But the story of today, guys, is whatever you want to blame it on, the refs, the jet lag, the Bills didn't get it done. The Bills offense didn't get it done. And the Bills defense, despite losing 5 and 6 starters at certain points, held on as long as they could. An absolutely borderline heroic effort from the defense, and the offense just left them out to dry. It is what it is. It's a week 5 game. The season is not over. I would not fear seeing Jacksonville again, even in Jacksonville in the playoffs. I would welcome it. I think 1-for-1, the Bills are a better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars. There were a lot of variables at play in this game, both location, both injury-wise, and I would welcome a rematch with Jacksonville in January, regardless of if that game is in Buffalo or Jacksonville. But these Buffalo Bills are 3-2. I am Josh McCarty. I will talk to you next time on Bills Chat Quick Chat.